Hello, everyone. I'm Pamela Gibson, lead facilitator for LSF. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to check out an easy way to begin connecting the SDGs with whatever you are currently investigating with your students. The SDGs, as you know, provide clarity on the complex nature of sustainability. Sustainability is about the environment, yes, but it's inextricably tied together with everything we, the people of this planet, do and how we interact with each other. Equity and reciprocity between people and our relationship and reciprocity with the earth are closely connected. The Sustainable Future School framework reminds us that we must honor the process we all go through to learn, emotionally, intellectually, and physically, to connect to the learning, to entrench our desire to behave sustainably, and to develop a reciprocity with each other and with the earth. The 10 elements of practice speak to the how-to. How do we do this with our students? How do we develop this awareness, caring, and understanding that leads us to act and to begin to learn to live sustainably on the earth? Well, Learning for a Sustainable Future has many tools to help us with this. Learning Inside Out is a weekly collection of topics and projects that give us support and ideas as classroom teachers. Every other week, it's focused on one of the SDGs, and the other weeks on a timely topic, which are easily connected to the SDGs as well. So check it out on LSF's website. It can be a big help when we're looking for ideas. So here's one idea. I received this email from Wendy, who teaches grade 2 at a Sustainable Future school. She wrote, I happened to go into Caledon Mountain Wildlife to get some birdseed for my mom, and I happened to mention that I was a teacher, and the owner let me know about their birdseed program. They will come and fill any bird feeders we have purchased from them for free. So I checked this out with Heather, that's the principal, and she said we had some money that we could spend on purchasing some bird feeders to place in our rain garden. My class has now made a map of the rain garden and started brainstorming places we'd like to put the feeders. And we're now going to learn about local winter birds. So my questions are these. Where can I go from here? What are those curriculum connections? And how can I connect this in a meaningful way with the SDGs? Well, there are lots of ways to connect it to curriculum. But here are just a few. Now, keep in mind that Wendy is in grade 2. I want you to be thinking about your grade, your class, the subjects that you teach. In math, for instance, she could track and chart or graph data, like the time of day, the species of the birds, which feeders attract the birds. They might also put up a control location and maybe away from the rain garden, and they could start brainstorming about the resulting numbers that they gather. They could investigate food preferences, maybe try 2 different kinds of feed and track what gets eaten most. And don't forget about creative writing and writing in general. Maybe there's stories about the birds that you could write about, or that persuasive writing piece if you find out about species of concern in your neighborhood. Science is always easy in this case. In this case, she could take a look at winter survival, adaptation of the birds to cold weather, the food chain, and what predators are around. Are there any tracks under the feeders after a snow or in the night? And are there hawks around? Do you have a night camera, perhaps? Who else is around? Could you find out? There's the social justice piece, the ethics of feeding wildlife. And as you investigate about the birds, perhaps you could have some knowledge building circles to track different learning perspectives, different ideas, and perhaps also how those ideas change over time for your students. Well, there's always the arts, the drama, dance, music. Don't forget about these are easy ways of getting into your subject curriculum areas, because think about what you can do surrounding the birds and what the kids are learning and experiencing, but also what others have done, and you can check that out as well. So how do you make those curriculum connections, but also connections to the SDGs? Well, those connections are going to provide opportunities for critical thinking, for deeper learning. For example, some of these are a stretch and some are perhaps really obvious to you. See what works for you. SDG number 1, no poverty. Can all people afford to feed the birds? Does this matter? Is there anything we could do about this? Number 2, zero hunger. What factors affect bird hunger? Are they similar factors for humans? And does winter impact human hunger? SDG number 3, good health and well-being. Are we improving the health of the birds by feeding them, or are we causing them more stress? Does caring for the birds and watching them create more well-being for we humans? SDG number 10, reduced inequalities. Can all of us connect together around birds? Even if we're not best friends, what else could we connect around together in the winter? SDG number 11, sustainable cities and communities. Is feeding the birds in the city or in the country different? Which is more beneficial? Are there stresses for the birds in the city or in the country? SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. Human food waste and overeating. Do the birds overeat in winter? Do they hoard food? Do they store food like squirrels? Number 15, life on land. How do birds interact with other species? Do they have meaningful relationships? Do they need each other? Do we need the birds? Do birds communicate? How? What else can we do to connect with and help the birds? And of course, 17, partners for the goal. Well, you're already working with the bird feeding store. I wonder what other community partners you could draw into the project. Could you get parents or other community members involved? And Wendy's last question, how do we connect the SDGs in a meaningful way that will last? Well, I've entitled that AKA, are there ways kids connect better to more complex ideas? Well, getting kids into a circle for some critical thinking and student discourse is really an important way to help kids remember what's learned and to embed it into their bodies, minds, and spirits. Those knowledge building circles are really important. How about experiential learning? Participating is what does entrench the learning, not only into our minds, but also into our bodies and into our emotional caring and our spirits. Don't forget that spirit connection. We have to remember that learning deepens over time. Yes, we're going to reflect on the birds while we're doing this important project, but also we can harken back later. We can revisit and reconnect to those things that we learned when we're learning about other things, because learning happens in a spiral. We can also explore those expressions of creativity, as I said before, and performance. Those music, drama, dance, and poetry ideas. Let's go at this learning and understanding of the birds in different ways, not just the math, language, science ways. Can we engage some role models, some experts to come in and help us with this, those partners? Because seeing and hearing from others is very memorable for kids, and they remember it, and they remember what's being discussed. And then reflecting on the learning, not just to review what's been learned, but why was it important to us? Was this important or significant learning? So remember, most opportunities that come across your path, like walking into a bird store, can be connected to your curriculum and to the SDGs. If you see everything through a curriculum lens, I like to call it your curriculum glasses, and begin to live in the questions. Do not look for terse answers. We're so reluctant to just live in the questions and pursue later on those same questions and others that are related. Go looking for those community partners for each project. We need those relationships. It teaches us that we need each other. And help kids to see themselves as world citizens that ditch that inequitable colonialist view of us and them, because we're all connected. And draw attention to what's going on in your own community. Then perhaps you can talk about your province or Canada and beyond to the world. That's quality education. And one more thing, I just want to remind you, you rock. Why do you rock? Because you're interested in getting started, and just getting started helps all of us put ourselves on a path to sustainability and a sustainable future. Thanks, everyone. Take care.